Hey everyone, Amia here from Resonance Astrology. Welcome to my channel. I'm joined by lovely Duna Holler, and welcome to the series about the decans of astrology. We are going to take a look at the decans of Taurus this time around. This is all part of something we are calling decan dance. So this is really a journey. We are taking you through walking, dancing through the decans essentially. And we're kind of giving you some tidbits here on YouTube, just like as an introduction, so you get a feel for the decans. But all of this is also really part of like a larger workshop kind of series that we're doing that you can also join us that we're going to do live. And this time around, we're doing the Taurus workshop of the Taurus decans on April 11th at 7:30 p.m. Central
May
Eastern.
11th.
Sorry.
May 11th.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's so true. May 11th. April is now, May is later. Sorry. So May 11th, 7:30 p.m. Central European time.
It's perfect.
And exactly. You can join for the singular workshops. They're gonna cost $11, but if you want to join the whole deck and dance journey, you can get it for a bit cheaper. And all the links for signing up will be down below. If you sign up now for the whole deck and dance journey, you will automatically get also the recording of the Aries decans that we did. These are the ones we did in April. So exactly, you're always going to be on track. Even if you join way later, like maybe you join on the decans of Cancer or whatever, like you will get all the recordings. But if you're unsure, maybe you just want to join for the decans of Taurus, absolutely feel free to just show up and sign up for this particular workshop. The links will be down below, and I'm so excited that we're going to have you here. And now to just talk a bit more about the decans. What the heck are the decans even? Maybe you're new here, you don't even know what the decans are. Um, so essentially, we have the 12 zodiac signs, right? But then we can kind of split them into three parts. So like the beginning, the ending, the beginning, the middle, and the ending part of a specific zodiac sign. And one zodiac sign constitutes of 30 degrees. And so when we take a sign apart, each decan rules over 10 degrees of the zodiac sign. So the first 10 degrees, the middle 10 degrees, and the last 10 degrees are all constituting of one decan. And essentially, what this does is it's giving us a much deeper insight into the zodiac signs because depending on if you have planets in the first, third, second, or third decan of a sign, you're going to have much different implications or significations, and you might understand yourself or your planets a lot better. So, this is my super long introduction. Now I'm kind of going to give it to Duna. Do your thing, show us more, tell us more.
That is a perfect introduction to the decans, especially because, as we were discussing before getting on camera, the decans have a lot of different association with a lot of different history. It's very complicated. There's constellations, goddesses, ruling planets, and a lot of different traditions. So what we're gonna do today is just bring you like a small bit-sized look at the decans, which is just gonna look over the rulers in the Hellenistic tradition, the tarot card associated with the decans, a general commentary of each one of the decans, and then we figure because this second one is gonna be in Taurus, which is such a Venusian and a like sign associated with the throat and with singing, and also because there's a couple of decans with mercurial significations on them as well, that we're gonna give you one song that is gonna be in the description for each one of the decans, which kind of represents the mood of the decan. So that's in which way it's gonna be a little bit different than the Iris one. We are kind of trying to like evolve as this evolves, as the zodiac goes evolving and can take different approaches. And that's also one reason why I encourage everyone to like come to the workshops that they can afford it and they're able, because the workshops is where we also do this evolution, where we describe more in depth. It's one of the decans, and when we discuss with other people the significations in various systems. But this is a video, so it's the tiny size bit descriptions. So we're gonna start with Taurus 1. It's called the Blow. And Taurus 1, the name that Austin Coppels gives it is the Blow in 36 faces. And the images are always kind of associated with that whole thing of like blowing the land. Or alternative images have also been associated with giving birth. So one image that is described by Agrippa is giving birth to a child who is in awe of her. So the child is looking at the person in awe. So in that description, we'll see later when we do the commentary, we see a lot of the significations of like birth, work, and like kind of like kerosene and taking care of the land. And the rulers of this decan, very aptly, are in the Chaldean order Mercury and in the Ptolemean order Venus. And now we go with the tarot card. I always love with Amelia sells the cards. This is the Five of
Exactly.
Coins or Five of
Totally.
Pentacles.
Yeah, so I just first of all, just want to mention the deck that I'm using is the Trippin Wait Tarot. I hope it's visible enough. The lightning is okay. Now you can see.
Yes.
Anyhow, it's like just a more psychedelic version of the normal Rider-Waite deck. This is the one I have, so this is the one I'm going to use. I also have a lot of other tarot decks, but I just think for this purpose, it makes sense to stick to this one. But again, there's so many other tarot decks which you could also pull the significations from. So these are the five of coins. It's more frugal card, I guess you could say, because like if you look at it, like you can tell me what you see, Duna, but you kind of see a lot of like scarcity, I guess is the word that I'm trying to say here. Or
Hmm.
like what maybe poverty not having enough could imply or mean. The interesting thing associated with this is also, okay, maybe this is where you're coming from. Like this is your current base. It doesn't have to stay that way. This card also has a lot to do with investment and again, it's like giving birth, but so it takes a while until your investments pile up and stock up. And most people usually like when you want to invest, you usually maybe come from a place of not having so much wealth, or at least wanting to like accumulate your wealth, trying to go somewhere. So this is kind of what this card symbolizes. Also, like I guess the lonely journey that this takes. I think the implications of Mercury and Venus are interesting here because uh not to like be all spiritually woo-woo here, but essentially uh there is definitely something that we can talk about, like a wealth mindset, which like the way you think about wealth and having enough or not having enough is greatly impacted by how you think of what you have or what you don't have. Because there's abundance around us all the time, and like being grateful for the things that you do have really do a lot. And like you can also have like something that is called like a poverty mindset where you're constantly complaining or like you don't actually take control of like how am I spending my finances? What am I doing? And this is automatically going to leave you feeling like poor, so to say, if I can use these words. So I think it's interesting that like Mercury also has a signification here because I feel like there's a lot that we can also do with how we think about certain things in this decan. Like it starts kind of from the mind and like the intention that we are setting.
Okay. Yeah, adding to that, I feel like it's very interesting that a lot of the associations with this card, and I feel like this calls to like what you say, that abundance mindset or that mindset um, of like letting things come to you. This
Mhm.
card, are this decan especially, is associated a lot with the duty and care to others. So it's a decan that is associated with community, with communication because of Mercury, with communing because of Venus, and those important topics become make this decan like a really social and relational decan. So
Mhm.
it's like if you want to like impact your wealth, or even like the various ways that you can define wealth, your emotional wealth, your intellectual wealth. If you want to grow that, you grow that by being in community with other people who can show you how to grow it. And I feel
Mhm.
like that is one way in which we depart from when we saw in the decans of Aries, which was way more like individualistic, or should I say like more of a battle, a struggle,
Mhm.
like it was about conflicts between people. Taurus right from the start starts with like communion between people, with like learning and sharing, passing your knowledge. So all of those things are very feel like very positive things for your wealth, but at the same time, there's because the card you can show it again if you want to. It does show people who are struggling.
Mhm.
It also reminds us that this part of our lives that is about like communication, communing, community is necessary for survival. So it brings up necessity that will become relevant in a couple of decades away, way more so. But right now we have the first introduction to that necessity of the others, which I feel like makes a lot of sense with the Venusian part of this decan, and as well the Venusian part of the zodiac in general, because Taurus is ruled by Venus.
Yeah, if I can add something to that,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like one of the best things you can do is just surround yourself with the right people. Um, I mean, this quote that is like, show me the five closest people to you and I'll show you your future, something along these lines. I feel like that's
Yes.
very relevant to this decan of Taurus because
Yes.
depending on who you surround yourself with, you can really make or break your future. And there isn't like the card isn't saying like that there's anything wrong. It's just like be mindful of who you surround yourself with because it is really gonna depend and like kind of mold your future. So just, and even if you like the best thing that you can do if you want to like invest in a better future is like try and find the right community that aligns with your same values, your same ideas. You're gonna exponentially grow any sort of wealth, like whatever you consider wealth. Like it doesn't even have to specifically be financial wealth, it can be, but just like putting that out there as well.
Yeah, that is perfect. And I feel like that connects very well with the goddesses that are said to reign over this decan. We don't always mean the goddesses and the god and the gods and the goddesses of its decan because they're not always like super relevant to the Hellenistic tradition. But in this case specifically, we feel like the three decans of Taurus are very relevantly represented by the goddesses.
Mhm.
The goddesses that are brought here are the Caris, yes, which are the goddesses that like kind of bring you that wealth and that community. Are three different goddesses, and they're associated with kind of like your talents and also the things that you have, your possessions. It's said that you come to life, and if you, for example, have been gifted, I don't know, a piano. You're like gifted by the carries like an instrument, so you may be a musician. That's kind of the association of the carries. So that I feel very much like ex- explains or like expands the vision of this decan as kind of like a caring communitarian decan in which you give to others, but it's also given to you.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and so that's why we chose a song by a singer who has her son in this decan. Not only her son, there was a couple of other placements, but I don't remember by memory. Which is Ella Fitzgerald, famous soul singer from the 50s and 60s. And the song that we want to put in the description is Give a Little, Get a Little.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's a very like reciprocal or reciprocal, however you pronounce that word, decan, so to say. And it really reminds me of like all of these decans remind me of how Taurus is so much linked to nature because
Yeah.
nature is very much based on that principle. But again, we're going to see that once. even more once we're going through decans, which again, we can go to decan number 2 now.
Yes, this is called in Astinka box 36 phases, seed and soil. The images associated with this decan are usually those of a naked man who is on top of a ball and is holding a key. The key is something that comes very, very much in this decan, as much as the nakedness. The rulers of this decan are in the Chaldean order, the moon, and in the Ptolemaic order, Mercury. And we can go with the card. I love this. This
Yes.
is one of my favorite cards of the tarot. Like,
Well,
period.
then you can actually maybe say much more about it. But first of all, I just also want to say that like we're entering the realm of the goddess here because the moon has her exaltation in the sign of Taurus. So it's
Yes.
a very, very like luxurious, mystical Deccan, so to say. I think here we can clearly see this reciprocal nature even more because this guy here is literally sharing his wealth with other people. He's like, you know, giving a little, so to say, if I can
Yes.
rip off the thing before that you said. And again, I think we see this more social component here because it's like, okay, what do we do once we accumulate the wealth? Well, it's like the best is to share with others because then even more wealth can kind of spring off from that. But yeah, tell me more what you see of your
Okay,
favorite
so
card.
I see one difference, and once we get to the song,
Mm,
you will see so clearly the difference that I see. I see one difference between the card that we just passed, and this one, besides the fact that this is now like a person giving them the knowledge from a position of like what we can deem as power. So this person seems to have some sort of power over them, but it's using that power to empower them. It's using this power to kind of elevate everyone else as well. And that is why I feel like this decan is one that it can be very clearly association with divine intervention and magic.
mm,
And like I wrote down, I think, this phrase that is like exaltation of the Venusian things, of the body pleasures, filters to
mm,
the mercurial mind of the spirit. So it's like a divine intervention, a kind of mix of the body and spirit, seed and soil. And
mm,
those things represented in those like kind of nourishment relationships, ritualistic relationships as well. It's like you do a ritual to some gods because you expect that for that ritual for the god to have like careness for you, to have like to
mm,
give you not exactly what you want, because you don't do a ritual because you want the god to, I don't know, give you 5 euros. That's not why you do a ritual. You do a ritual because you expect a gift
mm,
um or a caring blessing. And blessings are maybe not exactly what you ask for, but are like probably what you need. And there's a lot of that in this decan, which is why it's one of my favorite cards as well. um
yeah. No, I like that. I'm also sorry, did you
mhm.
want to say something?
No, no, you go ahead.
Okay. Um, just because I was thinking how, I guess, especially here in the West, when we think of the mind, usually our thoughts go to like our head and our brain.
Yes,
But
yes.
in many cultures, the mind is our whole
Mm.
body and actually even way beyond our body. It's like our near environment, even as well. And so taking care of our mind is literally taking care of our whole body. And this is wealth. Health is wealth, I think is what we can kind of summarize this decan with.
Totally. And it's very interesting that the goddesses associated with the decan are the Horae, which are the goddesses of time. So this is a decan that is like pretty much showing you, um, if you plant the seeds with time, they become something. They grow. The
Hmm.
magic happens when you create. And that is kind of like why those goddesses, those three goddesses, are also really much representing of. And the song that I chose, it's the singer has the sun in this second decan. Is the singer of the Pitch Mode, and the song is Personal Jesus, which I feel is very, very interesting thinking about it as kind of like a divine intervention
Mhm.
song, even if it's like also a BDSM song. But I feel like you can read it both ways. It's very interesting. So that's the song that I have for you all.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so we go with the third decan of Taurus. Taurus III is called by Aston Kopok in 36 phases as a string of prayer bits. Oh,
Beat.
prayer beats. Sorry
Yeah.
for pronunciation. So, a string of prayer beats. The images of this decan are usually of a disabled man, aided by a walking stick with an amputated leg, holding a serpent in his hand. If you remember, beforehand we had the key. We had the key that saw us the nurturing, the process, the magic. And now we have a serpent, and this man is disabled, is amputated, and it is described by Agrippa literally as the image of necessity and profit, which are kind of like these two contraposed images, necessity and profit. And the rulers of this decan in both Chaldean and Ptolemaic order are Saturn. So now it's the card because
Yeah.
this is gonna bring a lot. This decan is so interesting.
It is interesting. First of all, though, I find the images interesting because they actually kind of fit this a lot better.
Yeah,
Like, because that's literally like this guy right here. But
yeah,
nevertheless, this is the actual card of the Seven of Coins for the third decan
yes.
of Taurus. And I think, I mean, just like the immediate thing that I see when I look at this card is just like this man looking upon his harvest. I think
Mm,
this card is just so much associated with harvest and like the consequences of what we have grown, right? Because it's a Saturn decan. So, and a very strong Saturn decan at that, which is really like what came of the thing that you invested your time and energy with? What are you, like, what came about it? We see a plant here, right? That's the, and a specific type of plant in this deck. Uh, but essentially, I guess what I'm trying to get is that you can nurture whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's going to yield you results. And this is kind of what Saturn always reminds us of. And also why a lot of people, I think, don't really like Saturn. But what people don't like about Saturn is just like facing the consequences of their own actions for the most part, if we're being completely honest here. So, it's really like what are the kind of the consequences of your actions and what you have invested your time, energy in to grow. It can be good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. And I actually have a good, just like garden nature metaphor because we have like a balcony garden, on our balcony. And there's like this, not raspberry. I forget how these are called. You know, these, red berries that are small and round. They're not raspberries. Um, I forgot the name in English. I only know it in like creation in
cranberry
German.
maybe?
Oh, I
No,
think
that's
it's
different.
cranberries actually.
Cranberry. I think it's
Like a lot of
cranberry.
like a lot
Yes,
of
I think
yeah.
it's cranberry.
That's what you get when we speak like multiple languages. Anyhow, so yeah,
Same.
cranberries. And basically we got this plant, I think maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. It's a long time ago. And then it was like a small plant. We potted it into a larger pot. Nothing came. Then I cut it down severely the next year. And then also nothing came because it had to first grow new shoots and everything. Then I realized I think I might have the wrong soil for this because berries have a specific type of soil that they need. So once again, an important thing, like you want to have the right environment that constitutes growth that is necessary for you. And then I put it into the soil that was last year. Nothing came. This year is the first year we are getting berries. So, like after 4 or 5 years after planting this crop, we are finally getting some harvest. So, it's really just a reminder that things take time, good things take time. And once things come, like you get a beautiful harvest that you can look upon. But if you nurture the wrong things, you can also have like a bad harvest or like nothing really comes from it. So be mindful how you invest your time and energy.
Yeah, that is a very good sum up. When you look at this second, like from the point of the rulers, this is the first time we have Saturn, and it's the only time in the whole zodiac except on Libra too, if I'm not wrong. So it is interesting because in the case of Libra too, Saturn is the exaltation of Libra. So there's like there's some eight there by that
Hmm.
decan. But here, the Saturn double decan doesn't seem to be of any help.
Hmm.
In the in the traditional understanding of Hellenistic astrology, where Saturn is a malefic, that like just put boundaries on you on limits. But it is interesting that because it is an earth sign and it is a sign that is about like growing and endurance, and it is a fixed sign. An earth fixed sign is kind of like the most earth sign, if you can say it, because it's like fixed, which is like growing and enduring and going forward. That like it has a very particular way of working with a Saturn energy, where on the shadow side, of course, it can be about like necessity, endings, and like illness, even or like things that are outside of your control and that kind of like do your life worse. But on the flip side of that, it's also a decan that shows that you build strong foundations and rely on time. You will nurture the soil. You will nurture actually with time and with ponderings, with endings, with definitions. You nurture something to grow. And that something can be something pretty incredible, even if it takes a while.
Hmm.
And so this decan is also very much associated with diagnosis, prevention. There's a lot of doctors who have charts with the decan, very prominent, and also with the foundation of a house and with the preparation in the terms of Saturn, in the terms of waiting for days and days and cycles of years to kind of like make this nocturnal lands of Taurus grow and grow towards
Hmm.
the sun. That is how I see this decan having like this very, digamos, let's say like growth or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for
And the
sure.
goddesses associated are the Litai, which are goddesses that used to serve as the hands of justice, of the goddess Dyke, justice. And so, like, those the Litai were spirits that punish people who didn't, uh, like, didn't do the things that they say they were gonna do. So like, they were judged and they didn't acquire to the judgment. They didn't do the tasks required by the judgment. Those litai punish those people. But also, if you build a strong foundation, you build a house. Um, if you don't angry the goddess of justice, then the litai are not coming for you. They're just passing by. So that shows a vision of like this malefic kind of place,
Hmm.
but also that is very much telling you if you build strong things, they will pass the storm and you find something incredible.
Yeah, that's great. Even though Saturn doesn't have any specific dignity in the sign of Taurus, I do feel like they kind of fit well together because Taurus is like always like this annual reminder of taking things slow and that it's okay to take time, which is very Saturnine. So there's definitely something interesting about this last decan of Taurus for sure. I also like currently Uranus is in this decan of Taurus.
Yes.
So we're kind of working with this decan actually for a while now, and I feel like this, I mean, Uranus is very opposite of everything that this decan and Taurus represents. So that's why it can feel maybe a bit aggravating or bring in a lot of tension because Uranus and the fixed sign of Taurus are like complete opposites. Uh, but I feel like now we're kind of just like we're like in the harvest season of this whole journey of Uranus moving into Taurus, or like, I don't know how you see it. Maybe you have some other words to say about this as well.
I'm gonna think about that better for the workshop.
Probably, yeah. I mean, we're
Probably.
definitely going to talk about this in the
Yeah,
workshop.
in the workshop, that's gonna come up
Exactly.
definitely because we'll talk about transits. But I do feel like recently we've had the Uranus Jupiter conjunction, right? And also the Uranus
Yeah,
Mars
last year.
conjunction. Those two. There's a couple of Uranus conjunctions that happen, and they did I feel so in the world, kind of like the bad side of the
Mm.
litai, in the sense of like destroying structures that were not built
Mm.
with consistency. So I do feel that, and we will expand on that on the workshop. We'll also try to like find the other examples, which I'm pretty sure they are as well. Um, but yeah, this is a very interesting decan. I feel like there's a lot to analyze about the third decan of Taurus, and I can't wait for talking about the decans of Gemini with you all, but that will be next time. And before that, there's a song, of course, for this third decan of Taurus. It's by Busta Rhymes, who has his son in the third decan of Taurus, and this song is called The Finish Line, and it's basically the story of like how you have to do things in your life and to be consistent with them because one day the finish line comes.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a very good finish line for this video, I guess. Um,
And that's the finish line.
Exactly. So, wait, let me actually do one more thing, which I did last time as well, is just to, no, wait, sorry, I have to
So the three
switch
cards
it.
and the story. Yeah.
Exactly, just so you can kind of visually see the story of Taurus. Oh no, wait, it's wrong again. Oopsie.
It is wrong again, I think.
No, it's right this time.
Okay.
Unless you're looking at it from a mirrored direction.
I hope not. I
I
hope
hope
it's
not.
okay.
But this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one. Um, and yeah, again, just to mention it, the workshop is on May 11th at 7:30 p.m. Central European time. As Duna already said, we're gonna analyze more charts there. From people, but definitely there's also time to talk about your personal charts. Like if you have any Taurus placements, come and join. Like we can talk about your personal placements or like your experiences. We're also going to talk about certain transits because we're in Taurus season, so there's lots of Taurus transits going on. Yeah, and we're definitely excited having you here. We're also gonna post a more like concise post on Instagram where we're also gonna put like the song lyrics that fit from the songs on there. So it's definitely also worth
Blush.
following us on social media, and both of our handles will be linked down below. But just to also say it out loud, mine is Resonance Astrology and Duna's is at Duna Holler. So you can find both of us on Instagram as well. And yeah, hopefully see you at the workshop and enjoy this Taurus season so far. I'm curious if you have any decans in Taurus, make sure to comment down below. We
Yeah,
have
tell
to hear from
us.
you. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything you have to say? Or
Just rest, relax. It's Taurus season,
totally,
and plant the seeds
definitely.
and go until the finish line.
Great. Well, bye guys from me.